Okay, welcome again, everyone, to the Mediterranean Metabolic Reset free Q&A today. So where we're going to talk about really what is the cutting edge research on metabolism, weight loss, and these are things you might not have heard about. And also we're going to be talking about how to fix it and what to do about it. So a little bit about me, and I know I see friends and you may know about me, but I am a naturopathic doctor, a licensed acupuncturist, and I've been practicing for over 24 years. And I have focused a lot on nutrition, done research studies on the Mediterranean diet in particular, and have seen some amazing clinical results. And so I just wanted, always I love dedicating any of my talks and my books, besides to my family, especially my mom, who is the original Mediterranean goddess, basically, that helped me to understand this diet growing up, but to all of you, because I wouldn't be able to understand how clinically effective these programs are without the thousands of people that I have had the privilege to work with over the past 24 years. So thank you all very much for your trust. And with that, we're going to get started on the program. So I created this program because I don't know if any of you are having trouble losing weight. Hmm. And you're doing everything, you're doing the injections, you're, exercising more, you're eating less, you're trying everything. And what I've seen, especially even with hormonal weight gain, there are some hacks and pieces of information that are part of current research that we'll be talking about today that can explain it. And the best diet is actually not a diet, although in Greek, diet actually means lifestyle too, dieta. And so the healthiest way to eat is really a lifestyle change. And another thing I really love about the work that I do in naturopathic medicine and the way that I teach about nutrition, even when I was teaching for the master's in functional nutrition at University of Bridgeport, the way that we shift into better health actually also results in a more sustainable agriculture. It actually is better for the planet too. And as you'll see, environmental toxins are one of those missing links in weight loss. So, and as I'm talking, feel free to start thinking about questions that we'll have questions at the end. And so, what's weighing you down? Thinking about the personalized plan for diet is always the best plan. So there is no one diet that works for everyone. So if you want a personalized plan, you could certainly talk to us at Artemis Wellness Center. We can schedule a comprehensive, we can schedule a nutrition consult to personalize. But what I've found is this program is very effective as, either a jump start, and it's something that we can also do seasonally, and it can even be a lifestyle change that you do long term. So think about what's weighing you down, because the statistics are pretty clear that especially us Americans and now globally, we do have an obesity epidemic. And so what does that mean? That means that over 70% adults and 20% of children from 6 to 19 years old are either obese or overweight. And these statistics, they really have tripled for adults and more than tripled for kids since the 1970s. So what's been going on since the 60s and 70s for this obesity epidemic to keep raging on? And as you know, I don't know if you all remember, we didn't have Trader Joe's or Whole Foods down the street, until recently in the past 20, 30 years. So it's not because we're not trying, right? More people are exercising, but still it can be very difficult to get to that healthy weight. Eating less, exercising more, research has shown is not enough. And it's also shown that most people do gain the weight back, especially with like fad diets, yo-yo dieting, even the iconic like keto, South Beach, like all these diets do work for the short term. Even the medications, they work short term for a lot of people, but it's not going to be the lifestyle change that's going to help reduce your risk of chronic disease. Because the other thing you have to think about, and this is your personal reason, why do you want to lose weight? And for most people, it's really about being healthy, feeling good about themselves. And so this is where a Mediterranean diet lifestyle really is the most scientifically validated way to do that and reduce risk of chronic diseases. So what's obesity? It's based on the BMI. And this is like, basically we're looking at this formula, and, I did include, for those Europeans out there, we have the kilograms per meter squared. It's the weight divided by your height. And so you could calculate that right now. You can calculate that, like, very easy to calculate. And this is what a lot of the studies are based on, just BMI. Does it work? And guess what? How many of you may be like, my height and weight does not determine that? And I'm going to get real with y'all, because, like, how many people have you seen that are like skinny fat, right? How many of you are like, oh, I lost my weight, but it's just not in the right places, right? So lean body mass is really much more effective. And that's why in the program, we're going to include weight and height and BMI, but the pre-questionnaire, one of the questions is like, try on a tight pair of pants. Try on like something, that includes the bloat and includes, that lean body mass, because muscle actually does weigh more than fat. So why is it so hard to lose weight? So this is the cutting edge of research, and I'm actually kind of surprised more physicians don't know about it. And I'm very grateful to these researchers that did this paper that came out last year. And it's a unifying theory of weight loss and obesity. And it's by Dr. Heindel and Dr. Lustig, who is the doctor who's done a lot of research on obesity, especially in kids. He was the one who like blew the fructose theory out, and then Dr. Howard and Corky. So this is very cutting edge research, and I'm going to present on what are the current theories of weight. And what I'm finding is, like, even podcasts by famous people, I'm like, they're looking at, like, the physician and the blind physicians and the elephant, where, there's this saying where, like, someone's in a room with the elephant, they're blindfolded. These physicians are blindfolded. And one person grabs a tail and they're like, oh, it's a cheetah. Someone's grabbing the ear and it's like a, kangaroo. Everyone in medicine, what I see, unless someone is holistic, they are just grabbing on to, oh, let's just use a GLP-1 to make sure people don't eat as much. Oh, or let's just lower insulin. And what you'll find is that the most current scientific research and what I've seen work in my practice, and what you might notice is going to work best for you, is a unified theory that takes into account the most current scientific research. And that includes something called obesogens, which we'll get into. And weather permitting, tomorrow I'll be on Kira's talking about it too. So theory number one, how many of you heard, especially go to your primary doc, oh, just eat less and exercise more? Guess what, right? Like, it does not work, So this is called the energy balance model. And absolutely, eating ultra processed foods, it makes us eat more, it increases adipose tissue, it makes it harder to manage insulin. And this is actually the target of the GLP-1 agonist, is on this model, because this model, like, part of the mechanism of GLP-1 is it makes us feel full, and it regulates the insulin. So that's why it's used for diabetes, pre-diabetes, metabolic syndrome. And so it's working on that kind of insulin mediator as well, but it's basically making us feel full so we don't eat. And so it does take into account that the microbiome, the gut bacteria and the bacteria that live in and on us, are regulating our weight and whether we feel hungry or not, and diabetes and insulin resistance. So, but that, this is part of, like, oh, I just grabbed the tail of the elephant. So it's a part of it, but it's not enough, as you may find, that just eating less and exercising more really doesn't work for most people. And that's what research has shown. So many of you may be feeling like this, like, most individuals, like, this is experimentally in research, either like, it's not effective. it doesn't have a lasting effect. And so what about the GLP-1 drugs? Those can be very helpful for some people, especially with diabetes. There are certain reasons why that could be a part of a program. But guess what? Like there's these side effects, and some of them are pretty nasty. And some research shows that the side effects are actually probably how it's working, where you might feel nauseous or you might feel like full or like, so it does delay gastric emptying. And there have been studies showing that, especially if you're going for surgery, you want to be careful because even with surgery prep, they found that there's still full food in the stool. So there are some side effects you want to be very careful about. And then if you're on these drugs, you can definitely still do this program. You could do it to help get off of it. You can do it for the healthy weight. So it's not mutually exclusive, but just know that your muscle loss is going to be the same as your fat loss on those GLP drugs because they're just looking at like the tail. You will gain the weight back when you stop the drugs. And there are certain contraindications that your doctor might not be telling you about, which, I just did it's a continuing ed to look at what are the contraindications. And so if your doctor's not telling you, if you have IBS, digestive issues, pancreatitis, kidney disease, medullary thyroid cancer, eating disorder, or pregnant, those would be contraindications. So they can be helpful, but they're not going to be the long-term solution either. So the next theory number 2, is just cut out the carbs, right? Like, oh my God, hello, we are in the 2000s because we know about this. This is not your mother's or grandmother's diet where they're like low fat. How many of you like low, remember the low fat craze? So what did that do? So when we cut out the fats and these low fat products, guess what they put in there? They put in a lot of unhealthy carbs, and they also put in artificial sweeteners. And so, this theory says that, oh, it's the carbs. So just go on like a low carb, go on a paleo, go on a keto, just cut out the carbs and you lose weight. And that can help short term, and it can be a part of the solution. So what we're going to talk actually is about a low carb Mediterranean that takes into account both of these, but keeps going. So it does coincide, the obesity epidemic does coincide with the food industry, like doing the low fat diets, fructose, high fruit. You remember like Splenda, all these things, those will actually make you gain weight and increase your sugar cravings. This model, what I like about this model and what we do incorporate is that, and we're incorporating the one before too. We are going to eat less and exercise more. And we are going to focus on low glycemic load carbohydrates, not index. The glycemic load takes into account more of like the food in terms of like what's in it. So for example, if you were to eat chickpeas, it's got a higher glycemic index than if you were to eat hummus. So the combination of the chickpeas with the garlic and the olive oil actually lowers glycemic load. So we'll talk more about that in the program. Then we have this very like fancy theory called the energy reduction oxidation model. This one is a little complicated, and that's why you might be hearing about it on social media. I was just hearing like some podcasts, even Mel Robbins, like there's some people out there talking a lot about this. This is like, this is like all about, oh, let's just lower your glucose. Let's just like lower your insulin, you'll lose weight and you'll be great. And yes, that is a part of it. And so the newer theory takes that into account. It basically is saying that our mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cell, they produce these reactive oxygen species. So basically when our energy is met. So it's kind of like that theory of like when our fat cells are full, and our fat cells are a part of our hormonal system or endocrine system, by the way. We're going to be talking a lot about that in the program. When we're full, then that is the signal for us to have a healthier weight. And so what happens is that like the ultra processed foods and certain foods will mess up that regulation and lead to oxidation. And this is going to make it harder to lose weight. And basically, so that is true that the food in the form of things that create inflammation. And I do have, like, we're coming out with the new anti-inflammatory diet for dummies book in June, and we are going to be incorporating a lot of this information too. So it is true that inflammatory foods, things that, create these reactive oxygen species, they do mess up our fat signaling and do contribute to weight gain. And very simply put, we want to take into account the glycemic load of the food. We want to have anti-inflammatory foods. And so what we're going to do though is combine we're going to look at the whole elephant. We're going to do lower cals, good carbohydrates, low glycemic. We are going to take into account inflammation. And, but, drum roll, please. Who has heard of obesogens? Most people have not. And look at that word. That word it's a nasty little word, right? I don't want obese. I don't know if anybody, like you see that word and you're like, no, I don't want that. So obesogens, it's actually a scientific term for chemicals in our food, in our environment that make us gain weight. And so I included information from these studies. They actually disrupt our hormone signals. So obesogens are considered something called endocrine disruptors. Our endocrine system is like our thyroid, our adrenals, our hormones. So obesogens are a class of chemicals that are toxins found in our food. They're definitely in those ultra processed foods. They're found in our environment. They're found in our skincare products. They are found in our soil. And so what has increased since the 1970s with this triple times the amount of obesity is the obesogens in our environment. So this is an area of research that is fascinating. It looks like it's working through the microbiome is how it's working, but definitely obesogens, if we are ingesting a lot, will make us gain weight. It'll make it harder to lose weight. It'll interfere with our hunger cues. It will disrupt our hormones and endocrine system. So this is like polycystic ovarian syndrome. We're going to be talking about this in the breast health program. I talk about this with anyone at risk with cancer, diabetes, any chronic disease that environmental toxins play a role, skin conditions, GI conditions, these obesogens across the board affect all of our systems. It increases inflammation. It contributes to the insulin and leptin resistance. Leptin is a hormone that tells us when we're full. Leptos in Greek means thin. And so that, we can get into some of the science and these fancy words later. It does throw our gut microbiome out of balance and it increases our risk of disease. Now, the part that really freaks a lot of people out, and, I don't want to freak you out because we have a solution. Okay. So don't worry. This is the bad news. We're coming to the good news, is that we can do something about it. And the fact that we can do something about it is actually going to shift, the toxic load, not only for us, but for our family, for the environment. So it's our job. I feel like it's our job right now to really be aware of these obesogens, and it will really help not only us, but generations to come. And so, the scary part about this is like your difficulty losing weight may not be your fault in this generation. These obesogenic toxins, like a toxic exposure by your mother, grandmother, by like in your family growing up, can have an effect on how many fat cells you have, like how when they feel full. So this is the part that gets a little scary or frustrating, but we can still do something about it because there's a field called epigenetics, which goes above genetics, and we can play a role in shifting that for generations too. So here's the truth. The standard American diet. So we're going to incorporate all those theories, and what does that look like? It looks like the Mediterranean Metabolic Reset Program. So that's what we're bringing all those together, but really focusing on how you can shift your metabolism in a healthy way for you and generations to come and our environment. So the standard American diet, SAD diet, so sad. It is full of ultra processed foods. It's very hard to get away from it. And again, don't feel like, oh my God, the guilt factor is not allowed. Okay. So if you are just about to like whip yourself for like everything that's in your fridge or cabinet, don't do that. That is actually not good for weight loss either. Like those catecholamines, all of those feel good. There's actually studies showing that another thing that our fat cells are sensitive to is dopamine. So like, let's try to feel good about ourselves instead of beating ourselves up, and let's do the program and we will make a better impact. So Those, it can be found in food packaging, processed additives, preservatives, emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, heavy metals, like all these things that are found. And there are thousands of new chemicals in our food supply and environment since the obesity epidemic began in the 60s. There are hundreds of scientific reports. So I really don't understand when I listen to a podcast by some expert and they're like, oh, endocrine disrupt, like this is like World Health Organization gets this and sees how it's impacting health for not only us, but globally. Obesogens can affect us across our lifestyle for generations. Like this is crazy, right? That like, if you haven't heard this, it can change our fat cell differentiation, the number, the size, the function, the lipid levels, that's the fat levels in those tissues, the gut microbiome, our food intake, our energy expenditure. That was the first model, inflammation and insulin resistance. So you see how it hits all of those. And obesogens also, once they trickle in, those microplastics, those heavy metals, like all the things that leach into our soil and environment, guess what? We are not alone. We are also sharing our environment and our water and our air with the animals that we're eating or not eating, or eating indirectly, or that milk that they're producing. And so it affects every aspect of our life. And so this is a newer model, but what we're going to do is take into account all of these to give you scientifically validated results on helping to shift your metabolism. So this is the new model. I know it's wordy. I put it in there because at heart, I'm a scientist as well. And that's why I want to give you the science too. But basically it's called the obesogen redox model. We're going above and beyond it and adding the Mediterranean diet to it, which is scientifically validated on its own. But this is how, like, what's the proof? Over the past 50 to 70 years, obesogens are in the rise in our environment. They interfere with our hormone signaling. This actually ties in to why there's a higher rates of infertility, why we're seeing certain cancers rise, especially, so we're going to be talking about this in our breast health program. This is also why this, like, redox, so I talked about that redox theory, that this misinformation by our cells on when we're full or not, it does impact that insulin secretion, prediabetes, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and it alters hormone signaling. So, and some of the things that it also contributes to is it contributes to fatty liver disease, which is absolutely on the rise. So it can kind of gunk up our liver. That's not a scientific term, but by doing that, once our liver is a very important organ in how our blood sugar is regulated. And you're going to see, if your doctor hasn't already like been up on the current research, you're going to see a lot of your doctors when they talk about diabetes, pre-diabetes, is we do need to address the role of the liver and gallbladder in that model, because that is a very important hormone regulator, and it's important for blood sugar metabolism as well, and toxin. And so we're going to help our livers. So what are obesogens? Now you're thinking, am I sitting on obesogens? What am I drinking? This is ceramic, by the way, cheers. So feel free to take a deep breath and let it go. We have something we can do about this. So obesogens, they're found in plastics and plasticizers. And I was at a conference, the Yale olive oil research. So I've been involved in the Yale Olive Oil Research Center for quite some time now. And there was a researcher talking about microplastics from Italy. And the microplastics are in our fish. They're in our water supply. They've even found it in sperm. They've even found it, in like skin. So it's all over. We cannot get away from it at this point, but we can minimize its impact and we can minimize our exposure. So we're gonna work on those. And very simple thing, like when I started doing research on that, I'm like, even that, like when I go for Starbucks or something, or I go for a coffee shop, I bring my own to-go cup. And you want to make it like something that, because even the plastic liners over time, I'm not talking about, oh my God, I just had some plastic, I microwaved once and I'm toxic. No, this is over our lifetime. right? And this is why think about how your grandmother, your grandfather lived. Let's just take a moment to talk about Grammy and Grandpa for a minute, or Yaya and Papu, or Nana, or, right? Like, did they have all this plastic? No, right? It came out like who has watched It's a Wonderful Life for the holidays, right? It came out right around then when around It's a Wonderful Life. Remember that scene where he's like, oh, it's the plastic. And yes, plastics made a lot of money. It helped us out in many ways for convenience, but that's one way these obesogens get in. So a couple of things, even the BPA alternatives, not a bargain for our fat cells. Pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, disinfectants, agricultural chemicals, food and food preservatives. Like this is the atrazine, organophosphates, glyphosates, that is Roundup. Anytime you're using a genetically modified food, for example, like glyphosates, Roundup are being sprayed on our wheat. So why are we so sensitive to wheat and gluten? They're sprayed on the wheat before they're harvested. And guess what? Those glyphosates are still found in there. And no, they aren't toxic necessarily to our cells in the way that we think of it, but they are toxic to our microbiome. And that's one of the mechanisms these are working too. Messing up our microbiome, our gut is telling us whether we're full or not. Our gut is going to tell us if we want the extra chocolate chip cookie or not. So sometimes listening to your gut, it's being thwarted by these obesogens. So home and personal healthcare products, clothing, makeup, skincare. I'm talking to a friend of mine at Makeup. We're going to be talking more about natural makeup. So I have some resources for that. Don't mind that H. I don't know, furniture, H, waterproof, interesting. Flame retardants, which right now, like if you were hearing about the wildfires in California, they're very, they couldn't drink the water. Why? Because those obesogens, those flame retardants, those toxins are getting into the soil. And that's why if you order anything from California, you'll see major warning labels on it because they do have some environmental toxins, in the environment that are a big problem. Nonstick cookware. I'm doing a talk on this tomorrow and I threw out all my nonstick cookware. I can't find it. So yeah, so microwave food items, use cast iron, use glass, use ceramic. Again, think great grandmother. What was she using to cook? This is the PFAS. These are the ones that are forever chemicals, parabens, phthalates, and in our foods and beverages, MSG even, heavy metals, trans fats are obesogens. That's the hydrogenated fats. I see a lot of these, by the way, in crappy supplements. I can't tell you how many times I've like looked at, supplements or looked at, something someone's taking or something that is marketed online because, 50% of the supplements sold online have toxins in them, just so you know, like that great marketing for this weight loss product or that like, oh, this is going to help my gut. A lot of times it's a cheap product that if it's not being third party tested can have these obesogens in it. So I also, caution about certain supplements and we are going to be using the highest quality, as a naturopathic physician, we are the only physicians trained in nutrition throughout our 4 years medical school. We are the only general practice trained physicians that learn about nutritional supplements and learn about a holistic approach. So I will share with you my expert advice on what supplements are going to be best to use for this, and we can personalize even pharmaceutical drugs. So, antibiotics have been shown if you take over a certain amount of antibiotics, growing up, maybe you had chronic ear infections or something, that can shift your metabolism and increase risk of inflammation and chronic disease later. And we work with this as naturopaths, me and, in my practice to help reverse some of those conditions through working through the microbiome. But antibiotics can work as obesogens as well. So that's the bad news. Here's the good news is we're going to work with a low carb Mediterranean diet. And why Mediterranean diet? I mean, it's the most scientifically validated diet. It's best diet US News for many years. And I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit here. And thank you for all of you who vote for me every year. So multiple years in a row, we've been voted best holistic weight loss center. by the Natural Nutmeg magazine. And so, this low carb Mediterranean diet incorporates all of the things we've talked about, but I'm going to include some hacks in here, some functional foods, some different things we can do to really help our metabolism, and using specific supplements that are very helpful for a metabolic detox. So what that means is that, just a detox online, like, can actually be more toxic than good, because once our fat cells start to release some of those toxins, unless we have the nutrients for phase 1 and phase 2, so toxins need to go through a couple of steps so we can pee them out or poop them out. And so if we don't have the right nutrients to do that, we can actually retoxify ourselves. And so I'd also do, if you're like, oh gosh, do I have these toxins in me? We do offer a test. It's a functional medicine test called the Total Toxic Burden Test, where we test for everything. And, it's a little bit of an investment, but if you really want to like go the full way to see what your pre and post levels are, I have seen levels shift, even with glyphosates that are associated with thyroid cancers, even with like BPA and endocrine disrupting toxins that are associated with cancer risk. So we can do that as a pre and post if needed. Yeah, so we do offer that as well. But this is the program. I've been working really hard on it for y'all. And actually, it was Kara at Kara's Cures, who I'm going to be on the show tomorrow, that we'll talk more about it. So she kind of inspired. She's like, "Oh yeah, are you going to do another one?" And I'm like, do I have time? I'm like, okay, let's do this. So, and actually, if any of you are feeling like the post-holiday like stuff, still have those extra Christmas cookies around from whatever holiday just passed, if you're seeing this at another point in time, yeah, this is a good way to give yourself a little detox, a little reset, and you can do it seasonally or as a lifestyle change. So we're going to eliminate ultra-processed, obesogenic, inflammatory, high-carb, toxic foods and beverages. So I'm actually, with beverages is fascinating. I'm seeing a lot of the like, we're going without alcohol, but some of the non-alcoholic beverages, if you look at their ingredients, it's literally sugar and artificial flavor. So there's going to be some eye-opening moments together that, because we're still being marketed to, and that's part of the problem. We want to go back to the real food. Low carb, anti-inflammatory Mediterranean diet. We're going to maximize detox using medical food shakes, supplements, functional food. And we're also going to talk about healthy mindset and lifestyle hacks. I have a wonderful colleague who's working with me on the breast health program, that we're going to talk about belief systems that are underlying a lot of it. Because if we're telling ourselves, oh, I can't lose weight, or I look horrible, these things also are very powerful signals to our gut and to our brain, and can affect everything. So we do want to keep in mind a healthy mindset and lifestyle hacks, and we're going to get some support with each other. And if you're new to our community, you get the Artemis Wellness community for free for the next year as well, with just by signing up for the program. So how to sign up? I'm going to show you and this is not the droid we're looking for. I didn't mean to. I don't want to draw. Thank you. But I do want to open this thing. Okay. Let's see. How do I do that? More. Okay. Basically, if you go on our website, so let's see. How do I do this? I don't want to draw. No, thank you. You know what I'm gonna do? Oh, here. If you want to sign up, oh, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to open up to a new screen for you. Okay. I'll share again. If you want to sign up, basically just go on our website, and we are updating our website soon. So this might look different if you're looking at this program, after February, but the program starts January 31st. You just go on our website, artemiswellnesscenter.com. You go under where it says, so like here, this is home. And then on the right-hand corner, you press on the button and go under Mediterranean nutrition programs. And from there, you could see everything here. So today was the link for the free Q&A. So you probably found this page already. And then if you're new to our community, you press the top button to sign up. If you are already part of our online community, you press the bottom to sign up. And then these supplements are sold separately. So you'd want to press on this order supplements and definitely do that. There's a 20% discount on the supplements right now too. And you do have to use the link. You have to use the dispensary, like you have to get it from where we're saying to do the program because like I said, I mean, there is so much out there and even getting things that look the same on Amazon may not be the same because so just make sure you get it from the specific links we're recommending to in order to do the program. So that's how you get on. And now I will, let's see. Oh, share my screen again with you. Let's share. It's a good time for another breath. Ah, so lovely. Okay, so you know how to sign on and get it. And now let's do some questions. Who's got questions? Feel free to unmute and ask your questions.
Hi, this is
Hi,
Janice. So I
Jen.
downloaded
Yay.
the app,
Mhm.
and I was just wondering, are you going to have for like a plan or how to follow this like every day or like what to eat? Because I didn't see anything on the app right now.
Absolutely. So great question, Janice. And so what the program will entail, and actually maybe Joanne can help with that too. But basically the program, and if you've done one of my programs before, you'll know that like I give you a mini book. So it's not going to be as big as the anti-inflammatory diet, but sometimes it almost is like it's like a book.
Oh,
So you're going to get a PDF that has in like what's processed foods, how to read a label, these are the foods to eliminate. These are the foods to like, here are some superfoods to use. This is how to take the supplements. So you'll get a PDF. You also will do a pre and a post questionnaire. So that's going to be Justine, my patient care coordinator,
okay.
will be emailing you the pre questionnaire to do. So we have like kind of data before. And then you'll
Mhm.
do it afterwards, and you're going to have a number of like, oh, how toxic am I? And then you do a pre and post, but there will be a PDF and there's going to be a day by day. So, like for the 12 days of the program, I'm going to have a little video for you. I'm going to put my lipstick on for you. It's non-toxic, let's hope. And do like a little video for y'all, like every day that has some hacks and information. But it's going to be the PDF. And then we're going to have the community. It's all going to be within the community where you can ask questions in there as well. So
Okay.
does that answer the question?
I
Okay.
think so.
Okay. I know when you see it, you'll be a little bit more, oh, there it is.
Mhm.
So
I
the
wanted to add something to
yeah,
that
please.
too. So, in addition to everything that Dr. Artemis said, it's also the community is a great place to post like, "Oh, hey, I'm drinking kombucha. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" And then Dr. Artemis will be like, "Oh, yeah, that's a great thing," or whatever she would say about that. And you could post like pictures of your food, like you might be really proud of the breakfast that you made this morning because it had a lot of vegetables and stuff in it, and it's a great place to post and share. Like a lot of people share recipes from past ones I've done. People will share like, oh, I made this great thing and this is how I did it. So it's a fun place that you're not feeling like you're doing it alone. You're doing it with a community.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
Joanne's wonderful. She's going to take over in a minute to show us like more about like how to navigate the tech, but it's a gluten-free, dairy-free, except for yogurt, sugar-free, processed food-free, like no corn. And I'll have a very specific menu plan for you for the 12 days too. That
Oh,
you
good.
can, you can vary, but it's going to be simple. It's like, doing a shake for breakfast or lunch or brunch. we're going to have one healthy, balanced meal with protein and then like good veggies and then two snacks. So that's what it's going to look like. But gluten-free, dairy-free, except for yogurt. Yeah, but you'll have all that info in there too. Any other questions? No? Well, let me pass it on then to, and if something comes up in the meantime, like feel free to just, just ask. And then Joanne, if you want to show them too, because once they get in, they could also do we have another quiz that I put on there, like, are you toxic? Which is kind of fun, but don't let it be too scary because we have things we can do about it because we're all toxic, okay? So just don't worry about it because we're all in the same boat. Um, and we're going to do something about it. So the point is not to scare you, but to motivate you to understand why it's been so hard and what people are not like, what your doctor might not be telling you about this. So I'm going to pass it on to Joanne for the tech support.
Okay.
So,
And then let me share my screen.
and she'll show us how to get on to Mighty Network. So once you register, what to do, and she'll be here for us for like community, etc.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joanne. I really appreciate your help with this. This is not my
Yeah.
hat, not at
It
all.
doesn't need to be, it's mine, so that's okay.
Thank you. Very.
Um, so if you're already a member of the community, I want to show you what it looks like for you, um, which is a little bit different from if you're not a member of the community. So if you are a member of the community, you'll see under current programs, it will say metabolic, Mediterranean metabolic reset. You could find out more details by clicking on it and, really understanding it. But then once you're ready to buy, you would just click on right here. I'm a host, so I don't have to pay. But for you, it would say to buy. But if you're not a member of the community, that's okay, because what Dr. Artemis showed you earlier with the link, it will just take you through, okay, here's how you buy it. And once you buy it, it will put you as a member of this whole community, which is great. So it's not only everyone who's taking this 12-day reset, but anyone who's interested in Artemis Wellness. And so once you're in, it's going to look like this. And you'll see we have a feed, right? We talk about, thanks for joining. And oh, this is what Dr. Artemis ate. And it's going to be just a continuous feed of what's going on. Now, if once you join, you'll see here this welcome, and it's also featured up here. And you just click on that, and it gives you everything you need to know. Like, okay, I'm in. What do I need to do? What do I need to order? Any questions? It's all right in that post, or you could just let us know. And then the other thing is, and it sounds like a few people maybe already download the app, which is great. But if not, you can literally just scan this QR code with your phone, and it will automatically download the app and automatically like know that you're trying to download the app and Artemis Wellness. What it will ask you for is to sign in with the same sign in that you use to join the community. So if you've forgotten it, you might have some password sharing on your browser and everything. But if you get stuck, you could do forgot password and it will send you a new password. Or if you really get stuck, just message me and we'll figure it out. But once you're in once, whether it's the website or the app, you should never have to log in again. I've been logged in to some communities for years and never asked me to log in again. So there's that. And then you'll see up here at the top, um, you can see other members. So we could say, oh, okay, there's Dr. Artemis. I want to find out a little more about her. And there's Laura, all right? And that's Kara Sudlin. So you can actually go in and you could see their profile and understand more about them. What we also have, if you see up here in the top, is a chat, and we're just getting started with this, but you can put in a question. Oh, wait, I was just about to eat some smoked salmon and I just want to understand, how that would affect me or whatever the chat. If you don't want to make a big post about it, but just a question, you could put it there. And right now, the course material is not open for public view, but I'll just give you a little preview. We're showing one thing, which is the quiz, as Dr. Artemis had mentioned, and this is the quiz for how toxic are you. So you can do that, but as we get closer to the go live date, this will be filled out with lots of goodies that Dr. Artemis always goes above and beyond and does all the things for us. And then just one last thing, like events, you'll see, that's today's event. But if we have more events, you'll see them all in there. And it's also, if you click here on this Artemis Wellness community, it's also a community of not only people taking the reset, but anyone who's interested in Artemis Wellness community, and you could chat with them and all that during that time. So I don't know, does anyone have any questions about like the website or the app?
Awesome. Thank you,
Okay,
Joanne. Great
yeah. Feel
explanation. And
free
so,
to yeah, reach out if you have any, if you get stuck with anything.
I can
Um,
have a quick question.
yeah,
So
sure.
is the information on the website going to be the same as the information on the app?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it is. It
So I
is.
can go to either
There's,
place.
you can go to either place. There's a couple of things that you can't do on the app, but very few, like more administration type things that will say, oh, you can't do this, go there. But honestly, like 97% of everything you want to ever do will be in both places. It's just that couple of percent that maybe they'll say, no, you can't change this on the app, but it's
Okay.
more kind of back end stuff. But that's a good question. Yeah, it will be
Thanks.
exactly the same. And it's really nice to have the app because sometimes you're waiting, at the post office or the DMV, and it's like, oh, let me just check my phone to see what's going on at this, as opposed to, kind of uh brain drain on Facebook or the other. It's like I really want to go into this community and learn something and not just scroll.
yeah, the other nice thing about the app, if any of you used it, is like, let's say you're at the grocery store, like you have the PDF,
Mm,
look in there and be like, oh, like what's the olive oil she's recommending? So it will have like olive oil recommendations or like what's on the
mm,
menu for today. And this way you can
right.
kind of like bring the program with you wherever you go. I find it pretty easy to use too, thanks
Mm,
to Joanne. And then I
yeah.
did want to mention we have a 2-for-1 special going as well. And so that's going on. I think we have it on the main program. I want to say until, let's see here. Our 2-for-1 special is going on until the 7th. Wait. Oh, it says the 17th. We're definitely extending that. Let's extend that at least till actually I will extend that at least until let's do it till Friday. I'll extend that till Friday. If some of you wanted to go in with a friend, the way that you would do that. And so that would be okay. Yeah, I'll extend it through the program, which is the 24th. So if you want to go in with a friend, then you can get it at half off. And then like you figure out how you're doing it together, and then one person registers and the other person will be like, basically get the free link. So if you want to do a 2-for-1, and I'm going to extend it through Friday, just like let your friends know and email us. And so that, but go ahead and register. And then, once you let us know who the other person is, then we can register them too. Okay. So you kind of go in together, and each of you will have to separately buy the supplements though.
Yeah, that's a
Awesome.
good point. And like it's always fun to do these things with a friend, I think.
Mhm.
So
Awesome. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I will be away for half of the program, so I was gonna start it after my vacation. Will the course material still be active after the date of the program is over?
Yes, yes, they will be. And I'm just giving you both a big hug today. Hello.
Hi.
Good to see y'all. Yes, yes, you will still be able to access the program. So you could do it like in 2 weeks if you wanted, or you could, and you know what I also recommend is like this is a program that you could continue. Doesn't have to be 12 days. You're actually getting enough supplements for like almost a month. I think that for the shakes, it's like maybe 19 days, but you could, keep going. And then you could like literally do it again in a couple of months if you want. You repeat it. So, or just do your best, as well. It's always about doing your best, no guilt allowed, right? But yeah, absolutely. You can start it, stop it. You could try, you could be like, oh, let me do my best for this week and like really get into it next week. I've done that. If there's a couple of days, I'm like, oh, I'm going out. Let me try to do my best and then really do it for like a week and 2 weeks. So absolutely, it's very flexible and it'll be available for you.
Thank you.
You got it.
Dr.
Awesome.
Artemis?
Yeah,
Hi. Wondering about whether you would recommend this for general gut health and hormone balancing kinds of things for somebody who's not interested in weight loss necessarily, but the other things.
absolutely. And that's a great question, Amy, because I like this program. It's a healthy weight loss, but it's also a healthy lifestyle because it's a low carb Mediterranean diet. And what's the most scientifically validated diet? For all chronic diseases, it's a Mediterranean diet, and low carb just means that we're addressing some of that insulin resistance, that metabolic, the mitochondria balance. So yes, this is not like you don't have to lose weight on this program unless you want to. So you could just do it for just being generally healthy. And you will see, teaching nutrition for like, over 10 years, like what I saw, like we did analysis of all these different diets, like Whole30 or like all these diets that pop up are really, they're a variation of an elimination diet.
Hmm.
And they are based on the Mediterranean diet. If they're a diet that cuts out processed foods, it's basically it. So absolutely, this is a program you could do for just general health. You just want a little reset. You could do it if you have diabetes. You could do it if you have nothing wrong with you and you just want to like, you want clearer skin and you want to like make sure that you're not contributing to that toxic load over time. That could become a problem in 2 to 5 years, right? You could do it if you want to get pregnant or if you like want to go like help your hot flashes or if you want to like lose some of that metabolic weight gain around the middle because we're addressing endocrine disruptors. So absolutely, that's a great question. And this program is really literally for anyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. You really I am here, because of you and really am so grateful that you took the time on a Sunday before a snowstorm to check in. And I just want to also congratulate all of you for being committed to your health. And I really love that, by doing this program, you also are really doing something good for the environment. And that's important to me. And I feel like that is the best way that we're going to make a happy dent in our future generations' health as well. So thank you all so much and wishing you a beautiful rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye.
You.
Bye.
Sorry, Sammy, did I wake you up?